understand and get your night day is going to get better once you say hey. Okay, no, once your perception gets better. So talk about happy. Okay. You remember when you was a probably a kid, or I don't know if you do this now, but you remember you would almost catch yourself being happy and you felt like, this is too good to be true, right? Like that feeling that you had, maybe you was dancing or something and you caught yourself in an instant like, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be this happy. Honey, let me tell you something, okay? Don't you know that happiness is your birthright? Okay? Happiness is your birthright. You have the ability to be happy right now. Oh, yes, yes, yes. In this here now moment, you have the ability to be happy. You know why? Because happiness is a choice. You can make up your mind right now. You know what? I'm going to be happy. Okay. Now, friend, that does not mean that you will not be challenged. Okay. That does not mean that you're not going to go through trials and tribulations. Okay. That does not mean you will not face obstacles or adversity. Okay. But what does that mean? Well, what it means is that even when you are faced with adversities and obstacles and things seems like they're not going to get better, I am here to tell you that they will get better. I am also here to tell you that although you may be going through something that may seem so drastic at this moment, you can still choose to be happy. Now, I know some people, it's almost as if they are attached to suffering. Okay. Um, Yesterday I made a post, and some of you guys are so funny. You're really, really funny. You really crack me up. Okay. I made a post and said that there's always good, even if you are going through something bad. And someone said, where did you get that from? A fortune cookie. Now, let me tell you something, friend. Okay. I don't get it from a fortune cookie. Okay. I get it from my life experience and I also study. Okay. So I get it from books like this, Psycho-Cybernetics. I get it from listening to personal development each and every day. Okay. I get it from the laws of this here universe. Okay. Now, we have all heard, and some of you guys are going to get sick and tired, but I want you to get so sick and tired of hearing me say the same thing over and over again that one day you have it in your mind and say, you know what? I'm going to do something different. Okay. Because this girl on YouTube, she keeps saying the same thing about, becoming better in order for my life to become better. Okay. And it's so true. You want your life to become better, my love. You have to become better. You don't like what's showing up in your life. Okay. You got to be mindful of what you're giving. Okay. Now, this is the part. Psycho-Cybernetics, okay, by the one and only Maxwell Maltz, okay, who was a surgeon. All right. Now, this is such a phenomenal read. If you don't want to change, don't get this book. Okay. If you're not ready to live a better life, please do not get this book. If you're not ready to change that self-image of yours, do not get this book. If you're not ready to earn more money than what you've been earning, please do not get this book. Okay. Now, when I say don't get this book, right, it's not only you buying a book, but this book is supposed to be experienced. It's not just you reading a book and saying, oh, well, I read the book a few times, No, you're supposed to experience this book. And I'm going to share what it says, okay, with Matt, okay? Now, Matt is he pretty much is running Psycho Cybernetics. Okay, he pretty much took over the foundation. All right. And this is some of the things that it says. Okay. Where do we begin, friend? Okay, my introduction to Psycho Cybernetics in February. Now, I done read this book several times. Okay. I remember I read this book when I was on my way being monetized here on YouTube. I would do live videos and I would read this book. Okay. So I read this book. I didn't read the book from cover to cover. But it was one chapter. Oh my goodness. I just kept reading it because it said read it, I think 3 times a week or something for 21 days. Okay. And oh my goodness. When I tell you Psycho Cybernetics, okay. Oh, I can't write it in. Okay. So, like I said, when I was going to be monetized on YouTube, I just kept reading this book. Okay. Oh, and I would read it and reread it. I remember, and that's like, the self-image, right? Because I remember I would have written down all my goals when I was about to become monetized on YouTube. And I would have on my goal list, just like this goal list that I have. So I tell you guys each and every day, like I write my goals down each and every day. Right. And I remember I would have on there like Psycho Cybernetics, read chapter 2. I think it's chapter 2. But oh my, I read it so many times. And it was times where so I would be like, I don't want to read it. Right. And that would be the self-image. That would be the old self-image. Okay. Telling me not to read it. Okay, it's some things that you guys know you should do and you're not doing it. And the reason you're not doing it is because you're listening to that monkey in the mind. You listening to the chatter. You listening to the chatter that's telling you, don't do it. You listen to the chatter that's telling you, do it tomorrow, do it next week, do it next month, like don't do it. And as long as you keep putting your greatness on hold, guess what? Your life is not going to change. If you continuously do the same exact thing, your life is going to continuously be the same exact way. So if you really desire change, you have to do something different. Okay. And I believe in you. And I know that you have what it takes. Okay. I know you have what it takes in order for you to get something different. I know you do. Now, you may not believe it. Okay. But I am here to tell you, you do. So, in February 1987, shortly after graduating from college and moving to California, I decided to go into business for myself as a personal fitness trainer because I had won a national title in college wrestling and had been trained by Olympic champions Dan Gable and Bruce, honey, your last name, okay? I figured I had something valuable to teach young athletes as well as anyone who desired to be more physically fit. Even as I was embarking on this career, I felt that something was holding me back. So, you know how many times like you're trying to do something and it just feel like something holding you back. You could be opening up a business, right? Getting ready to open up a business and something is holding you back. Doing a channel, becoming a content creator, something is holding you back. You writing a book, okay, and you wrote a few pages, but it just seems like something is holding you back, right? It seems like you just don't know what it is, but it just seems like something don't want you to succeed, okay? Now, listen to what it says. There was this inner voice telling me I wasn't good enough, that I could not make it. To be honest, first, I had no business experience. Second, I had very little money. And third, deep down, I felt like a failure, even before I started. Imagine it. I wanted to succeed, but I felt like a failure. Why did I feel like a failure? When I think about that question, I recall when I was in high school. My goal was to wrestle for Dan Gable at the University of Iowa. I fulfilled that goal, but I wasn't the number one guy in my weight class. I was almost always number two. I got a lot of matches and tournaments and dual meets and won the majority of them, but I was not in the driver's seat. And so after my sophomore season, I transferred to Edinboro University of Pennsylvania, where I be on the varsity. During my junior year at Edinboro, I set a single season win record for the team, 39, and won the NCAA 2 national title. After winning the Division II title, I was ranked 7th overall in the country and qualified for the Division I tournament. My goals were to not only win the tournament I already won, but the Division I tournament as well. Well, I fell short, way short. I was crushed afterward, yet fully committed to coming back as a senior and making up for my poor showing during my senior year. Despite having far more skill than ever before, I fell short again. I took 5th in the Division II tournament and did not qualify for the Division I meet. There were many reasons I can give now for why I fell short, but at the time I could not put my finger on them. So that's the thing, right? Some of you guys, you're doing different things, and maybe it's your income, right? And you're like, why am I falling short? Right? Like, why do it seem like I can't get over that hump, right? It all has to do with your self-image. All have to do with your self-image. And if you don't study, chances are you don't even know why you do the things that you do. Chances are you're not even aware. Okay. So I couldn't put my finger on them. And when I began my business, I suspected that it was these same reasons that were causing me to worry and feel fearful about the future. As fate would have it, in early May of 1987, when I was nearly out of business due to lack of clientele, Jack was the man with the master plan. Okay. Jack was the man. Say it with me. Jack was the man with the master plan. Okay. Jack was the man. All right. Now, Jack, a successful 57-year-old entrepreneur, signed up for 12 lessons. Whenever he showed up to train, he had scanned to see what books I had in my office, which would lead to a lively discussion of what we were reading. During Jack's 5th session, when he was catching a breather between sets, he asked the following life-changing question. Matt, have you ever read Psycho-Cybernetics? No, I replied. Is it good? Well, it's sort of like the Bible of self-help. You really need to read it. Over the next 10 minutes, Jack talked to me about success and the self-image. He told me that Dr. Moats was a plastic surgeon who figured out that a person cannot, listen. He told me that Dr. Moats was a plastic surgeon who figured out that a person cannot raise above how he sees himself. So no matter how much work we tend to do, no matter how much effort we put into it, we cannot outrun our self-image. And the self-image is basically how you view yourself, right? It's like on autopilot. You're on autopilot. Throughout the day, you do the same, pretty much do the same exact thing. It's all because of your self-image. Your self-image is pretty much responsible for why you are at that certain job that you may hate. Okay. Why your income is the amount that it is. Why you live where you live. Why you wear what you wear. Okay. Why you enter into certain relationships. It is all due to your self-image. Or due to the self-image. Okay. Our future, Jack said, is controlled by a mental blueprint we have inside our subconscious mind, and it dictates where we think we belong. If you want to get more clients and make more money, then you need to expand your self-image before you can have them. Trying to achieve without expanding your self-image doesn't lead to lasting positive change. After Jack's lesson, I got in my car and drove to the nearest bookstore, the Capital Book Cafe. I pulled a copy of Psycho-Cybernetics from the shelf and drove back to my office to begin reading. In a preface, which appears in its original version in this edition, Dr. Moltz wrote, "This book has been designed not merely to be read, but to be experienced. You can acquire information from reading a book, but to experience, you must creatively respond to information." He goes on, "Hey, Tracy, peace to you, baby, peace to you, peace to you, peace to you. Hey, Linda, peace to you, baby, peace to you, peace to you, peace to you." Oh, I'm doing phenomenal. I'm doing better than great, Linda. Better than great. All right. He goes on to advise readers to continue to practice the techniques in a book and reserve judgment for at least 21 days. The amount of time that, in fact, research now confirms it takes to affect change. He cautions readers not to overanalyze the techniques, critique them about whether they could work. You can only prove them to yourself, he adds, by doing them and judging the results for yourself. Okay, so that's what I did. And soon I began to see exactly why I felt like a failure and how this poor self-image was indeed holding me back in my business. In short, I felt like a failure because I was reliving my disappointments, my losses, my setbacks, my failures. Each day when I felt badly about myself, it was as if I rubbed my face in manure of bad memories instead of showering my face with clear water memories of what I done well. Now, this is the same as that concept, like when it comes to relationships. Same as that thing. This is the like this is all around, okay? When you break up with a person, right? And if you don't get the lesson on how you attracted that person, what lessons did you get from that relationship? What you tend to do is those memories that you have of your last relationship, you bring it to the next relationship. Okay? Like, instead of you focusing on like things that were a success in your life, you just keep focusing on the failures, on the times that you failed, right? And it's so funny because tonight I was reading this book. When I tell you, like, these books, they really, really change your mindset, learning the world. Peace to you, baby, peace to you, peace to you. When I tell you that these books really change your mindset, like tonight, my intuition was like, read this, right? Psycho-Cybernetics. And I had this memory that came up. So some of you guys, I don't know if you noticed about me, but I wanted to become a police officer, right? Um, I want to say when I was mm, when I was like 12 or 13, I wanted to become a police officer. Well, actually, probably like 14. Okay. Because you guys know I was, in the juvenile detention center and stuff like that. But I wanted to become a police officer. And I remember that was a goal. And first, I was like a FBI agent because when I was in this all girls home, it was a guy who worked there who he was like a staff at this all girls program. Okay. And this was like after my father passed away. I was in the youth house, and after my father passed away, I couldn't go to my family because they was like, you know what, she's been in criminal activity and stuff like that, so we don't want to go through that, which was totally understandable. I didn't understand it at that time, but as you start growing, right, is understandable. And so what happened was, I met this one of the staffs there at the all girls program. His name was Mr. Oral, and he was going to become a FBI agent. And I remember he had like his study book, and I would talk to him and he would be like, you can study it, right? And I would study it, I would read it and stuff like that. And like I had my heart set on it, right? And I remember I had took the test, not the FBI test, but the test for Jersey City police. And I remember I even also took the test for New York City. I went all the way to the Bronx. Now, some of you guys probably like, what? Right? But I went probably about an hour away. I was so determined. Okay. And I had took the test and I failed by a few points. And I remember I was like, you know what? I'm still going to become a police officer. Like, I'm still going to do it. And sometimes, like, we have like these goals, right? We like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I don't want to give anybody an excuse, but sometimes you are called to do something way bigger than what you have set out for yourself. And I remember I was in college, and this professor named Mr. Drew, he was a Jersey City police officer. And oh my goodness, so cool. A Jersey City police officer. And then like he retired and became I think a parole officer. And I remember he was a professor over one of my classes. I was going to school for criminal justice. And I remember I had wrote a paper, and the paper was pretty much like tell a story of like a challenge that you overcame. So I told him, the story about like my past and stuff like that. Well, he was so like inspired by the paper that he was like, oh, could you tell it in front of the class, right? So I talked about it, about my past and stuff like that in front of the class. And at first he was asking me like, did you like, was this you in this paper? Like he couldn't believe the paper was so good. Okay. He couldn't believe that the girl that he seen in his class, okay, was the one who the paper was about, right? About criminal activity and stuff like that. So he couldn't believe it. And so what wound up happening was, I remember one day me and him was talking, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, because in the paper it was, I was telling him like, oh, I'm gonna become a police officer and stuff like that. And one of the things he was like, I don't know if you would be able to do that because like your background and stuff. And so at first, like I felt some type of way because I was like, oh my goodness, And he didn't mean it like in a bad way, he just was like, maybe you could. He was like, but I don't know. So what wound up happening was, but I never forgot what he said to me. He was like, maybe you could be like a counselor or something, or like you can inspire people. And I looked at him, I was like, I ain't said to him though, but I was like, ain't nobody wants to do that, right? And the real reason I wanted to become a police officer, it was for the control. That was the real reason. That was like the bottom line. And so I remember like still going to college and stuff like that, finishing college. And like that idea tonight, it came to me, about the time that when I didn't become, a police officer. And so as I was reading a book, it was one part that Matt talked about. And well, it was a few parts that Matt talked about, okay, from Psycho-Cybernetics. And one of the things he said, now I'm gonna read the probably two pages, but he said, here's a snapshot of what I would say to myself. Yes, I achieved my goal to wrestle at Iowa and be coached by Dan Gable, but I wasn't a varsity man. I was number 2. And yes, I got a full ride at Edinburgh and won a national title, but I didn't win a Division 1 national title, and I didn't win a Division 2 title as a senior. So you see, like, how at times we can have all this stuff playing in our subconscious mind, right? And it's like the moment you go to do something, you don't do it. The reason being is because you keep getting memories of the times that you set out to do something and it didn't go the way you felt like it ought to have went, right? And that's in everything, right? Business, if you are in school or something, like you failed a test. And it talks about this in this book about this guy named Lucky. I think Lucky was like a psychologist, but one of the things that Lucky said was students, instead of them saying that they failed the exam, hey Frank, peace here, baby, peace here, peace here. He said instead of students saying they failed the exam, they will oftentimes associate them failing the exam and say that they were failures. You see, like you attaching yourself to your results as opposed to saying that I failed that test, And what most people do, they tend to say that they failures. They tend to say they rejects. Sometimes, you may have been called a failure or a reject. But I am here to tell you that God did not make any failures nor rejects. So you got to ask yourself, if you are in the image of God, okay, why do you feel like you're a failure or a reject? That's a question. If you have been created in the image of God, why do you feel like you are a failure or a reject? And I'm not turning this into a religion debate or anything like that, but why do you feel like that? First of all, I'm not part of religion. Let's just put that out there. Okay. All right. It's so funny because when you say God, people automatically associate you with religion. But anywho, you have to understand that you're not a failure. And failure is just an event. It's not a person. Duty, open the door for Xavier.
Oh, I washed the dishes for you.
Oh, thank you, Duty.
It's okay.
You're not a failure. You may have not succeeded at things, but that doesn't make you a failure. Things may have not worked in your favor. And it's so funny because when we look back on our lives, you could look back and say, oh my goodness, like I needed to go through that in order for me to be the person that I am today. So it's a win-win. It's really a win-win. So listen to this, what it says. If you guys don't have this book, okay, honey, my stomach get out. If you guys don't have this book, okay, I highly encourage you to get Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Okay, a really, really great read, really good. Okay, so this is hey, is Evian? You in the fridge? Oh,
That I can have one.
thank you. Here's a snapshot of what I would say to myself. Yes, I achieved my goal to wrestle at Iowa and be coached by Dan Gable, but I wasn't a varsity man. I was number 2. Yes, I got a full ride at Edinburgh and won a national title, but I didn't win a Division 1 national title, and I didn't win a Division 2 title as a senior. Yes, I set a single season victory mark, but I didn't win all my matches. Even though I achieved something that almost all athletes who take up any sport will never achieve, I thought I was a failure because I didn't win everything. Moreover, I didn't realize that having goals and thinking positively, and this is the part, right? Having goals and thinking positively is not enough. Having goals and thinking positively is not enough, because the reason why it's not enough, because you have to change their self-image. You have to change the way you see yourself. And if you're not aware, how could you change something you're not aware? Have you ever tried to talk to an alcoholic, telling them that they need help, and they felt like they didn't have a problem? Although they drink first thing in the morning and throughout the day, and you constantly tell them they feel like they can't even function without a drink, and you telling them that they have a problem and they say they don't. Well, they not aware. So why would they fix something or work on sobriety? Is that how you say it, sobriety? You know what I mean. Work on them becoming sober if they feel like that they just don't have a problem. And that's the same as that concept. If you feel like, I remember I used to say this, like, I've been this way, like I've been this way all my life. And that was sort of like an excuse or a cop-out because I was actually afraid of change. Like, I would say that, but deep down inside, I knew that I knew I needed to do something different. But I would use that as a cop-out, like, I've been this way. I've been this way all my life, right? And so this is what it says. I didn't realize that having goals and thinking positively aren't enough. No one had ever told me about the self-image. Despite my learning self-hypnosis, which I thought would help psych me up, no one ever taught me to go back into the past and relive my best memories. No, you had and it's what time is it? It's 8:31. Oh, heck no. I was never taught to picture what I wanted, let alone to feel I could have it. And I do have it. Amani, get your laundry off the sofa. Get your clothes off the sofa. And I do have it. I was carrying these feelings of failure in my bones and into my business and everything I did. Once again, I was setting goals for myself. I truly wanted to succeed. At the same time, I doubted whether or not I was good enough to train people. Imagine it. Like, here he is. He won a successful business. He want more clientele, but at the same time, he's afraid to train people because he think he's not good enough. And you may think like, well, nobody would be able to. Let me tell you something. What you have going on within you, it reflects on the outside. You may think that you catfish in this here universe, but you don't catfish it because you are the universe. Okay? Universe. You. Okay? Everything that shows up is a reflection of what you got going on within yourself. Amani, fold them and put them away. Don't put the shirts with the pants.
I'm not.
I was carrying these feelings of failure in my bones and into my business and everything I did. Once again, I was setting goals for myself. I truly wanted to succeed. At the same time, I doubted whether or not I was good enough to train people. After all, who was I? I wasn't a world champion or an Olympic champion. I was just a one-time national champion. As I developed psycho-cybernetics, I discovered and experienced what I needed to be doing on a daily basis. It was something I had never done before. I was to enter this place that Dr. Motes called the theater of mind. The theater of the mind. I close my eyes, then remember and relive my best moments, seeing them play out like a mental movie, my victories, my successes, my happiest times. After reliving and re experiencing myself at my best, I was able to flip a switch and use my imagination in the same way I used my memory. I could imagine and feel that I was achieving a goal in the future, but experience it as if it was happening now, almost as if it was the memory of another accomplished goal. Once I mastered this technique, everything began to change for me instantly. And yes, I do mean instantly. I felt good. I felt happy. I felt successful. I felt like a winner. It was an odd sensation. It made no sense. How could I be happy now? How could I feel successful now? How could I feel like a winner now? Didn't I have to achieve these goals in order to feel good, to be happy? And what about all the failures? Were they simply forgotten? Wasn't I supposed to feel bad forever for not achieving everything I set out to do? This is where psycho-cybernetics cannot be understood by passively reading. This is where it cannot be understood by analysts. Argument, debating. You must experience the reality of it in order to truly know the difference. The mere reading of words will not show you or give you the experience of truth. Since that glorious day in May of 1987, I achieved a lot. The list of achievements, accomplishments, and victories that I can recall is quite long. In the short term, I built a successful personal fitness business. Then in 1997, at 34 years of age, I won a world champion in Kung Fu in Beijing, China, beating the Chinese at their own game. Something no other American had ever done. Since then, I've written books and created fitness and martial art programs that have found a worldwide audience. Okay? Why are you still doing it? And you seen me do this. That don't work. So I encourage you guys to get this book. Okay. Whenever I read a really good book, I always tell you guys the books that helped me. And this is one of the books that helped me become monetized on YouTube. Like I said, I don't know if Tracy's still on here, but I would do lives on this book so many times. Okay. So many times I would talk about this book. This and Prosperity Bible. All right. And one of the things that I would constantly talk about was this psycho-cybernetics. Okay. And what it did for me is start having me think about, it was this one time I remember. And I kept on focusing on it. And it was this time where so I remember I had the goals. Remember I said I wanted to be a police officer? Well, I had goals while I was on Section 8. While I'm on Section 8, I had goals. Section 8 had this program where, as though if you have goals, and you achieve the goals, every month what they would do was they had this program. They would match the amount of money that you was paying for rent. They would match that. Stop, I'm doing a video. They would match that. And so I remember I had these goals, and every month when I paid my rent, the amount that my rent was, they would match it. And then I remember I received $10,000 because I hit my goals. And I just kept reliving it. Kept on out there. Whenever I would get a image that wasn't, or a memory that wasn't, something that I didn't want to relive, I would just instantly keep thinking about that time when I hit my goals and I received the 10,000 and something dollars, right? And I kept on doing it. And right after that, it was like everything started flowing, right? I became monetized on YouTube. My life, it just started changing. But one of the things that I am going to tell you is this: you have to continuously do this. All right. This is not a one time thing. I mean, if you're looking for like a quick fix or something like that, this not it. I'm telling you, this is not it, because this is not like, oh, I do it one time, whatever, and then I never have to do it again. I study every day. And when I say I study, like, I'm reading books like this, Psycho-Cybernetics. I'm reading books like The Magic of Thinking Big, The Prosperity Bible, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon. So I'm reading every day. The 11 Forgotten Laws by Raymond Howell. Every day I'm reading. Every day. Okay. Every day I'm reading. Every day I'm listening to personal development. And then what I do is, when I listen to the personal development, I don't know how somebody could say they listen to this stuff all day or practically like throughout the day and they don't take action, because it makes you take action, so to speak, like, because it's, you become so aware, you able to distinguish, like, oh, I see that program, that chatter is trying to that chatter is trying to keep me the way I was, and you take action. You don't put it off. You don't say, oh, I'm gonna wait, no, it's so funny because even today I did a video and I missed the first bus, and here I was, it was nippy, to say the least. Okay, it was cold outside, and I'm waiting for the bus. Okay, and then the bus, like, I checked the schedule, it says like, oh, 30 minutes or 20 something minutes. I'm like, oh my goodness. And this voice, the chatter came up. You could just go back home. You could go home. You could get in a nice bed. It could be, look, I'm doing a video. No, I'm doing a video. No, because you caught him out there, and that's why. No. And so what happened was, I got the download, right? For me, well, I got the chatter. Go home. Just go home. Go get in the bed. You'll be fine. And instantly, right? I said, no, I'm gonna go do these whores, okay? And that's when I did the TJ Maxx video, the Target video, and the Burlington video, okay? Because I was determined. I am determined, okay? And that chatter will talk to you. It will try to convince you to stay where you are. It will try to convince you that you are better off where you are. It will try to convince you. And if you're not strong enough, guess what? The thing that you know you ought to do, you're not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. The reason being is, one, because you don't have discipline. You don't have discipline. And discipline, you have to tell yourself, you know what, I'm doing this. Okay. And actually follow up and do it. And so I hear the chatter too. I hear the chatter. Oh, don't go. No, what was it? Last week, I think. You know, I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm tired. Today, man, not today. Right. And I start listening to Bob Proctor. I was dressed like this. Okay. I was dressed in no time. Okay. Because I was like, no, I'm going out. I'm doing what I need to do. Let me tell you something, okay? You may think that you have forever. Okay. You may think like, oh, well, I have forever to live. I do believe in reincarnation, but I'm talking about in this here life. Okay. You don't have forever. And if you want your life to change, my love, Dollface, Sugarfoot, you're going to have to do something different. You can't keep on doing the same exact thing because you already see it doesn't work. Some of you guys, oh gosh. And there's nothing wrong with this if that's really what you enjoy doing. But if you are working on a job 8 hours a day or even longer, and you know what your purpose is, what your passion is, and you will not show up for yourself, the scariest thing to me is getting to a certain age in life and looking back and reflecting and saying, I wonder how would my life have been if I did things differently. I wonder how my life would have been if I would have took the leap out on faith. I wonder how my life would have been if I started that business back then. To me, that's the scariest thing, to live in regret. To feel like I could have had a better life only if I had the guts to do something different. Some of you guys, you say that you waiting for the opportunity, the right moment. There's no right moment. There's no right opportunity. You have to create it. You have to create it. Because as long as you wait, and guess what? Time is ticking. And you can't get that time back. And so I always say, do it while you don't know. You can't follow the logic, okay? Because yes, it's not going to. If you follow logic, you're going to be broke. If you follow logic, if you listen to everything has to be logical, how has that worked out for you? So I say, do it afraid. Do it not having all the answers. Do it without you seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, but knowing that the light is there. Okay? Do it looking like a fool. Some of you guys feel like, well, I'm going to look silly. I'm going to look like a fool. Well, do it looking like, because let me tell you something. If you do something different, you will get something different. I know you're not out here thinking like, oh, well, if I continuously do the same thing, I'm gonna get better results. No, you're not. You cannot get oranges from planting apple seeds. That's just, the universe don't give it up like that. Okay. That's just not finna happen. You get oranges from planting orange seeds. Okay. So if you want something different, you got to plant something different. You got to become something different. You have to make up your mind and make a decision. You know what? Today I'm living different. May not even know what that look like. But I could almost assure you and guarantee you that the answer will be provided for you. I can assure you that. Because back in 2018, I did not know like the path that this was gonna lead me on. I did not know that. But I kept showing up. And every time you listen to your intuition, I say listen to your intuition over anybody. Okay? Every time you listen to your intuition and you take the leap out on faith and you do the next hint, the way will be shown. All right. So with that being said, I love you guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Keep rocking out, believing in yourselves. Keep growing. Okay. Psycho Cybernetics, great read. I mean, phenomenal read. Okay. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.